Hello guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Lorna here again. And guys, for those who are new here, feel so much welcome to this YouTube channel because it's a channel that we're sharing information about IT in general and trying to help one another to become more skilled or to get jobs or to improve their become better in their workplaces in IT. So guys, if you're new, kindly check my previous videos. I have about I think 4 videos or three, yeah, which I did some introduction and we've talked about a number of things. So kindly check out my previous videos. So for this video today, guys, I want us to talk about certifications, but specifically in cloud and specifically in AWS cloud, Amazon Web Services. You know, guys, that AWS is one of the biggest cloud service providers. And most of the companies actually use services from AWS. So if you find that you probably would want to work for a company that uses AWS as their cloud provider, then it's really good for you to have done certain certifications. I'm not saying it's a must, but I feel like they are really good for you to get a lot of knowledge that can actually help you while you're working. Yeah, and especially if you're coming in for the first time into cloud, or probably you want to transition into cloud, or maybe just want to become better in your workplace. I feel like doing certifications can really be good because most of these cloud certifications have really good labs that can actually help you to practice a lot. And after doing those labs, you'll actually be feeling more comfortable while working. So guys, in my previous video, I gave an introduction of the basic certifications across different fields. And one of the certifications I talked about is AWS Cloud Practitioner. AWS Cloud Practitioner. That's the most basic certification in AWS Cloud. It just gives you the general overview of AWS. It makes you understand what AWS is all about, what services it offers, what products it has, and it's a very simple certificate, a very simple exam, and it will not take you a lot of time to prepare. So that one is basically for people who are new in the cloud environment, AWS cloud environment. It's the most basic certification that you can do to introduce you to AWS and to get to know what does AWS do and what are the products available there and the kind of, what applications can you actually run in AWS. So that one, I'll really encourage someone who is very new to cloud, AWS cloud, to do that one. It's called AWS Cloud Practitioner. Now, after doing that one, and you now have like an overview of what AWS is all about and what it offers, there are other certifications for the associate level and the professional level that you can also do to better your skills. So at the associate level, there's one certificate which I really like, and I have actually done that certification. And guys, I think in my next video, I'll give you my journey on studying for that certification and finally passing my exams. It was not an easy one, but I think in the next video, we'll discuss about that. So it's called AWS Solutions Architect Associate. AWS Solutions Architect Associate. So that's one of the good AWS certifications. I really like it, not because I want to become a solutions architect, but it's because of what the course entails. It has everything across AWS in a deeper level that you actually get to understand this one product, how does it work, and how can I make use of it to run my operations as well as to save costs and to have an effective service which is highly available, it's reliable, and it's cost effective. That's why it's called it's called solutions architect. As a solution architect, you're supposed to help customers run their operations with the minimum costs possible, which services which are really highly effective and highly available. So that certificate, it's really nice. It opens your minds to architecting solutions in a way that you don't spend a lot of money. At the same time, you have a very effective solution. At the same time, it's very available and it's effective, it's efficient. Yeah, so that's why I really like that certificate, and it spans across all the products of AWS, because remember, customers are using different services. A customer could be using databases, another one could be using storage, another one could be using network, different services. So it means that for that certificate, you need to understand all the products across AWS and how they can actually be used for the best performance. The best performance is not only about, being highly available, it's also about being cost effective, being you very operational, so many things, architecting, you understand what architecting is all about. So that's why I really like that certificate. And the exam is very it's very practical. It's not an exam that you go clicking an answer. It's something that needs you to think. You actually, the exams give you different scenarios. You're given a scenario like a customer wants to maybe move this kind of services to AWS. What is the best way that you can advise that customer to do this and that? So the answers will actually revolve around you being cost effective, you being high available, thinking about high availability, thinking about effectiveness, thinking about so many things that can actually give a customer that comfort of, I'm running my services in AWS with the best choices ever. Yeah, so that's why I really really like that certificate. So apart from making you think wide across how you can make a customer run their services in the best way possible, it also introduced to all the services. Because remember guys, I said these solutions architect customers use different products in AWS, so you actually have to study for so many products in AWS, understand them, and understand how best you can use them, or advise a customer to use them. So that's why I really really encourage someone to do that certificate, not only for becoming a solution architect, but for you to understand how best can you utilize AWS services at the best that you can. Yeah. So but also if you want to just become a solutions architect, that's one certificate that's really good for you. And you can also go to the higher one, which is called AWS Solutions Architect Professional. Now that's for someone who would want to become a solutions architect. So you can go to the next level, which is the professional one. So it's called AWS Architect, Solutions Architect Professional. Yeah, so those two. So apart from those ones, guys, there are other certifications. For example, AWS Developer Associate. AWS Developer Associate. So for that one, guys, it's mostly for developers. And when I say developer, I don't necessarily mean someone who writes code. A developer can also mean someone who understands the whole process of creating an application and deploying it and monitoring it. Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily mean you have to become a software developer. It just means that you need to understand the whole process of writing an application. So you need to understand the language that's being used, the coding language, understand the platform where that application is being written in, understand the next process, the life cycle of software development, yeah, and also deployment and monitoring. So that's what that certificate entails. It gives you the understanding of the platforms in AWS that are used for development and for deployment and also monitoring. So that's basically what certification is all about. And if you look at it, it's kind of related to this one called AWS DevOps. AWS DevOps. So that's another certification, AWS DevOps. So for people who are aspiring to become DevOps engineers, so there's AWS DevOps, and AWS DevOps is actually DevOps in the cloud. I know we have DevOps engineers who probably using their own, DevOps is it's a practice, and it has different, you can use different tools to accomplish your DevOps practices. But there's AWS DevOps. So AWS DevOps mimic the DevOps that which is not in the cloud. For example, for people who are doing DevOps, I know you could be using like a code control tool like Git and GitHub. You could be using a CI tool, that's continuous integration tool like Jenkins, and a continuous deployment tool, those processes of DevOps and continuous integration and continuous deployment stuff. So for that is mimicked in AWS, such that you have what you call AWS commit. That's equivalent to Git and GitHub. So we have in AWS, we have AWS commit. And then for building your code in AWS, you have what we call code build. And then we also have what we call code deploy. And then you have AWS pipelines, AWS code pipelines. Now the whole journey of continuous integration and continuous deployment. So that's the DevOps in the cloud, in AWS cloud specifically. So you find that AWS Developer Associate and AWS DevOps are kind of the same, because both of these certifications actually give you the entire journey of writing the application to deployment to monitoring, and that's what DevOps is about as well. So you'll find that sometimes if you do a certification in DevOps, AWS DevOps, then it will actually be easier for you to do the other certificates in the other certificate of AWS developer. So you'll find that they're actually related, and doing one of those will actually make it easy for you to do the other one. And of course, if you are a developer, then you're definitely a DevOps engineer, yeah, because DevOps actually use the practices of a developer. How a developer starts developing the code from when the code is written to when it is tested, deployed, and the application is finally monitored. That is the whole process of a DevOps engineer, and that's also what developer needs to understand. So, and that's why I'm saying doing AWS DevOps will actually make you at a better position to also do developer, or the vice versa. You can start with developer and you can later do DevOps. So because they're really, really very related. So those two guys, so it's AWS DevOps engineer and AWS developer associate. Another good certification which I know is called AWS SysOps administrator. AWS SysOps administrator. So SysOps administrator, you'll also find that it's kind of related to solutions architect, because basically it will introduce you to how to use AWS products, how to deploy and manage, and deployment and management of those of applications in the cloud, in AWS cloud. So you'll find that it's kind of related to solutions architect. So the moment you do solutions architect, you can actually easily do SysOps administrator, AWS SysOps administrator. Yeah, so those are the ones that are in my mind, guys. I know there are others. So if I can search again, listing them. So you have AWS Cloud Practitioner, which is the very basic level of AWS certification. Then we have AWS Solutions Architect Associate, Solutions Architect Associate. Then we have AWS Solutions Architect Professional, AWS Solutions Architect Professional. Then we have AWS Developer Associate, AWS Developer Associate. Then we have AWS DevOps Engineer, AWS DevOps Engineer, and lastly have AWS SysOps Administrator, AWS SysOps Administrator. And I also said SysOps Administrator is kinda related to Solutions Architect, and definitely Solutions Architect Professional. And AWS Developer is very much related to AWS DevOps. So you can actually group them and say, if I want to do this one, and then very soon you do the other one before you forget the content, yeah. Especially if you're not practicing in the field, because it's easy to forget the content. So you can actually say, maybe let me give myself time to do DevOps, and then immediately after doing DevOps, let me also do developer. Or come and say, let me do a solutions architect, then immediately I do solutions architect, then let me do SysOps administrator. So guys, one thing to say about those certifications is that they are not easy. This one I'm not gonna lie to you, except practitioner, which I said it's very basic. The rest are not easy. I did solutions architect associate, and guys, I'm going to take you through in my next video how I finally passed that exam, but it wasn't easy. But I'm not saying now that you give up because I'm saying it's not easy, because nothing comes easy anyway. Most of these things we have to struggle, because the more we struggle, the more we reap nice. I think so. Yeah. So guys, that was my kind of my advice on the available cloud certifications in AWS. And there are others, guys. If you want to specialize, if probably you're already working in AWS or using AWS products, if you want to specialize in something, kuna hizi certifications zinaitwa specialty. So that means you specialize in something specific. For example, you can do database specialty. That means you'll only be focusing on databases. So, and there are different databases when you go to AWS. You have the relational databases and non-relational databases. So if you focus on databases, then you'll just be focusing, or rather doing certificates only for databases, both relational and non-relational databases available in AWS. Another specialty that is available is advanced networking. That networking is really, really key, guys, because without networking, then we don't have infrastructure. We don't have, infrastructures, computer infrastructures. So you can also specialize in AWS networking. It's called advanced networking specialty. Another specialty that I know is machine learning. There's what we call AWS machine learning specialty for people who love machine learning. You can also specialize in that. You do it as a specialty. Remember the other certifications which I talked about before actually introduced to they introduce you across, all the services in AWS. But this one's now you're specializing in something specific. You want to become an expert in something specific. So you do this one's called specialty. And I've talked about database specialty, advanced networking specialty, machine learning specialty, which are on security. You can also specialize in security because security in the cloud, man, that's a really, really good certification to do. So you can actually specialize in security, make sure that you understand everything to do with security in the cloud. So that one is a really, really good one. Another one which I've also seen is SAP in AWS. There are others, guys, but I feel like these ones are the good ones. Not the good ones, all of them are good. I mean, those that you can start with, and they're really being used um, almost everywhere. Like databases, most people have their databases in the cloud, so you can actually be a special, an expert in databases in the cloud. You can be an expert in security in the cloud. You can be an expert in machine learning in the cloud, and such advanced networking in the cloud. And so those specific ones, they're called specialty. So if you want to do something specific, go for the specialty ones. But if you want to cut across the different products in AWS, go for the ones which I introduced before, which again, AWS solutions, AWS practitioner, cloud practitioner, AWS solutions architect, associate and professional, AWS developer associate, AWS sysops administrator, and AWS DevOps engineer. So that's it, guys. Let's meet in my next video, which I'll explain to you how I managed to do my solutions architect associate certificate and how I passed that exam. See you. Bye.